Okay, welcome to part 3 of how to create asteroids here. This will be a little bit longer video than all the rest because in this one we need to create the physics engine that makes our spaceship move. Let's start by switching from, you might be on your costume page here. Let's switch to your code up here. And very first thing we're going to do, you have motion blocks, looks, sound, events, control, sensing, operators, variables, and my blocks. This is what we're going to start with, is creating a block. So the block that we want right now, we hit make a block. Let's call this one thrust. This is what's going to move or propel our spaceship forward through space. There's a few other options. Make sure not to click any of those. We're just going to leave it as the plain old block here, and we'll hit OK. And now we have this block that we need to define. Let's begin. There's going to be a few complex things here. Stick with me. Just pause the video and rewind it if you missed something. First thing we need to do is create some variables. You start off with my variable, and we need some more. So let's make a variable. The first variable, this will be, it's okay if it's for all sprites, that's fine. For this sprite only would work just fine too. But right now, we want to create a variable called old x. Hit OK. That variable is created. Let's make another variable. We're going to call this one old y. Hit OK. Let's make a third variable. This one's going to be called, let's go move y. Well, that looks funny, movie. Let's go y move instead. It doesn't really matter what you call these as long as you are able to tell the difference between them. And let's call one more of these x move. Not x most, but x move. There we go. Hit OK. Okay, we have these 4 variables now. We are going to be able to program our spaceship to move around in space using these variables. The first couple of pieces of code you're going to need is a few of these sets. We are going to pull in 2 of them. And then you're also going to pull in 2 of these change. So you got a few of those going on right now. Let's change the variables here. We're going to switch from my variable. The first one we're going to call old x. Second one we'll call old y. Next one we'll call it x move. And then we'll go y move. All right. Now we need to change a few other things in here as well. We're going to have put variables into what we want these variables to be changed to. This is where it's a little bit complicated. That's okay. Just follow along with me for right now. In the motion blocks, the blue motion blocks, there are some pre-built variables. So we have our x position. We're going to drop in here. And our y position will drop in right here. So old x goes with x position, old y goes with y position. The next thing we're going to need is a couple of operators. We need some subtraction. We're going to pull these in. So 2 subtraction blocks. You'll see they kind of snap in. They create a little white circle when they get close to it. If you try doing this side, it doesn't work. But if you're on the left side, it will snap in. You let go of it. And in here, we're going to go back to those motion blocks and get the x position, y position, or you can also right-click these ones up here and duplicate them and pull them in. So the first one, x move, is going to have an x position, and then we can do the same thing, duplicate here, or you can always come down here to y position for the second one here. And we're subtracting from these some variables. We're going to go back to our variables over here, and let's subtract an old x and an old y. So we're subtracting where our ship was from where it is. Okay, we're getting pretty close right now. We need a few more things. We also need to move a little bit, just a tiny bit. So we're going to move 10 steps, and we're going to put this right in between all 4 of those. So it's going to be right there beneath the sets and above the changes. Moving 10 steps means our rocket ship is going to really take off very fast. We're going to go a lot slower. And you can always change how fast your rocket ship is by adjusting this number right here. I'm going to go 0.2, not 2, but 0.2. Or 0.2. In fact, that might look make a little more sense, so you can really see it. And 0.2 right there. And then we're also going to have our spaceship go to a specific location. We are going to have it go to, again in our variables, we could use our variables here, old x and old y, or you can also duplicate from here. Here's an old x, and then right-click, duplicate, old y. And now our thrust is defined. The next thing that we're going to do with this, though, is tell our ship how to move. How is the player going to program the ship to move? So we're going to need a control, or rather an event, when the green flag is clicked. And it could be something else. Let's say your game starts when you hit the space bar or something like that. That would work too. When the green flag is clicked, we need to set a couple things. We want to set our X and Y movements. And the reason for that is in case a player is playing multiple games back to back to back, the variables, we want them to come back down to 0 at the beginning of every game. So our X and Y move. X move, Y move. There we go. And now that those are both set to 0, we can start actually programming in some motion for our ship. We're going to come in here and get our forever loop. So after the green flag is clicked, forever, if a button is clicked, we want the ship to move. And we can do that through our sensing blocks. There's one that says touching mouse pointer or distance of mouse pointer, all these ones. And here's a great one, key space is pressed. So this will allow our keyboard to control our ship. Instead of the space bar making our ship go forward, I'm going to use the up arrow for mine. That's going to make a little more sense to me. That way I can control my ship with my right hand, and maybe my left hand control lasers and other things that are fun later on. So if the up arrow is pressed, then our ship wants to do this. I'm going to go to My Blocks, and here's this thrust block that we created. We defined it already as this. So when the up arrow is pressed, we want this script to execute. There's a bit more to it, though. If we check it right now, green flag, and I push the up arrow, I can see my Y move is changing, but the ship isn't moving. Part of it is because we need to go to our motion, and we need to change our X and Y coordinates. So change X by 10. We're going to pull this underneath the if-then statement, not inside of it, but underneath it. It's still in the forever loop. You see the ship just moved. And we're also going to, let's change Y by 10 as well. You'll see the ship just moved up over here on the side, because it's forever going to change by X and Y. However, we're going to drop some variables in there. We're going to drop in our X move for the change by X, and our XY, or I'm sorry, our change Y by Y move. Let's hit this green flag again, and our spaceship is still stuck up here in the upper right-hand corner. That's frustrating. We can't even play test our game. So let's tell the spaceship to reset its location. Let's go in here to, let's see, I'll go into my motion blocks. And when the game starts, what I'd like to do is set my X and Y. I want the spaceship to go to a specific location when the green flag is clicked. I want it to go to 0, and I'm hitting tab and then hitting 0. All right, now when I hit the green flag, now our spaceship is there. If I press the up arrow, and there's our spaceship. The longer I hold it, the faster the variables start increasing. All right. Now the problem is we can't turn around and it just runs into the side of the wall. That's not very useful. There's something else that I want to do too, and that is I could have it point in a direction. So when the green flag is clicked, you see if it starts off pointing in direction 90, you see it's pointing off to the side. I could go any direction I wanted. What if I went 0? It'll point straight up. There you go. Or we could go 180 and have it point straight down at the beginning. But again, our spaceship can't turn yet. So not a very good game. Let's figure out how to turn our spaceship. We're going to need a couple more if-then statements. So let's go under our controls, and we're going to put these if-then statements. Let's put them under these change Y and change X blocks here. And let's do if the right arrow is pressed, then let's turn it so many degrees. So let's come down to our sensing. If a right arrow is pressed, let's pull in this key space. Here's the right arrow. We want it to rotate or turn, and I'm going to have it turn, I'll have it turn counterclockwise when the right arrow is pressed. This is really your preference. And let's go, I don't know, a little slower. Let's go 12 degrees. Let's duplicate this now, and we'll put it below. I can right-click the if-then statement and go duplicate, and I'll put it below. And I'll change this from right arrow to left arrow. And let me drop in a different rotation, though. I could go turn this by negative 12 degrees, or I could also have it turn, oh, I guess this is clockwise, isn't it? And this is counterclockwise. And I could have that go 12. And that way I can keep it in positive so my brain doesn't hurt. So right now when I hit the green flag, I can spin my spaceship around with the left or the right arrow. And I can also now move it around. And you see all the variables that are changing? Now, if I go off in one direction, boom, I run into a wall. But if I spin around, I have to wait until I accelerate. So if I keep going, I run into a wall, ouch, and then it takes me a while to get turned around. So that's something that's kind of fun. You can play around with this to see if you can get your spaceship to move. But now we have our first physics engine. Let's see what we can do next with this. One thing I would recommend is at this point, if you're done with this video, you could right-click it and go add comment. And I could say something like done with video 3. And that way, if I need to take a break and come back tomorrow, I have a little note that tells me where I was in the videos. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's come back on video 4 and we'll play a little bit with maybe fixing that problem of our spaceship running onto the edge.